Well, good morning and welcome again. Welcome to those joining us online as well. And glad you chose to be with us and taking some time out of your weekend. And I hope this will be a meaningful experience for you today as we are continuing and wrapping up our series today. But this week, it was kind of a crazy week around our area, right? How many of you lost power this week? A few of you? Yeah, probably about a third of you did. I was one of the fortunate ones that didn't. And so that was... hopefully yours is back on and all your food made it through all that and everything, and hopefully there's no tree laying across your yard or things like that. This week, my family were out of town on the choir trip with their high school, and I got a text from my wife. It was like 6:30 in the morning. I just woken up, and she's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, why? Why? She's like, "I heard there's bad storms coming through," because the lady she was rooming with, her husband had to be up early for work. And I was like, yeah, I think so. I went and looked outside, and there was like some sticks in the yard, but nothing really going on. And then I turned on the news. I was like, whoa, okay, this is serious. But like our neighborhood didn't get hit too bad, and there's just, like I said, the sticks in the yard. And I went from our house over to church here on that morning, and there was one tree down across the road. I only saw one other tree that was down on the way. It's only like a 5-minute drive, so it's not that long, but there was one tree down. I had to kind of drive around the road. But then later on, I went to go home. So I'm heading home, and I'm heading from the south, so I'm driving north, and I'm coming back to where that tree was down, and they had the crew was there working on it, so the road was closed. And so I couldn't get to my house that way because the tree had fallen like on a power line, but didn't like take it out, but they were taking care of that. And so then I was like, okay, I'll try it a different way. And so I tried to go home coming from the west, and I kind of go around the neighborhoods to get around to that spot where I can go that way, and the road was closed there. I was like, okay, let's try again, try to come from the north. And so that brought me out to Seaway Drive, and Seaway was closed. They had like a power line across the whole road on both sides. And I was like, am I ever going to get home? Like, how am I going to get home? Like, I'm running out of options. And so I finally was able to maneuver around and get home on some side streets. But it was weird because I wasn't lost, but I was like, how do I get home? Are there any roads open? They said at one point half of the roads in Muskegon County were unpassable. They were closed down. So that's crazy. So hopefully, like I said, you're all cleared up in that sense. But I know, like for me, it was just like such a weird thing because the storm really wasn't that bad, and I wasn't really lost, but I couldn't get home. And I don't know if you've ever experienced something like that. But, it's one thing when we have like a little storm thing, but it's another thing when we kind of encounter that same experience in our life where maybe you're just kind of going through life and you don't necessarily feel like you're lost, but you keep kind of hitting these spots where it's like a dead end after dead end after dead end, and you feel like you don't really know where life is going. And you just feel kind of stuck. Maybe not lost, but just don't know where to turn. The band opened the service with that song from Whitesnake. Yeah, 1986. It was awesome. That song came out like 37 years ago. Anyways, but that song says, like, here I go again on my own. I'm going down the only road I ever known. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone. And maybe you kind of feel like that, like life, you're just kind of drifting through life. Just kind of stuck or hitting the dead ends. See, the good news we're going to see today is that we don't have to go at it alone. We don't have to just drift through life. That God has so much more in store if we're willing to actually follow him, not just to know him, but to actually follow him. And it really ties in with the name of God we're talking about today. We've been talking all about these names of God all throughout this series. And if you missed any of the weeks, I encourage you to go back and check out the weeks that we did, and you can see all the different names of God that we've done. And so it's been a really great series. So you can always go to our website or YouTube channel, check those out. And today we're wrapping up the series looking at another name of God. And the name of God, the Hebrew name, is Jehovah Roi, or Roe. You can kind of pronounce it either way. But I'm also probably pronouncing it wrong either way because I have a hard enough time with English, let alone Hebrew. So that is the name of God, and it means the Lord is my shepherd. And so, again, this is another Hebrew name. We looked at that name, Jehovah, that is a changed name from the name of God, Yahweh, that we looked at in the first week. And so that means the Lord, and we see Roi means shepherd. It's not only like a noun, it's also a verb. It's a noun saying that he is the shepherd, but also that he is willing to shepherd us and to guide us and to care for us like a shepherd would. I don't know if you know a lot about sheep. My dad was a farmer. He had cattle like his dad, but there was a point back when I was growing up where cattle prices were really low and the price of beef kind of plummeted, and so we ventured into this area of raising Angora goats and some sheep. And one thing I learned is that sheep are dumb. They're really dumb. And everyone in our family kind of felt this way. Like, we didn't really like the sheep, but we had to take care of them. They were the way the family made some money. And like, even though I didn't like the sheep, we had to take care of them and feed them and make sure they're okay and shear them and different things like that. And so as we're thinking about this, what we're going to see today is that, like, even for me, I had to care for sheep, even though I didn't like them. But so much more greater is our God, the great shepherd, who loves us. And he cares for us, and he wants the best for us. And like a shepherd, he can lead us along that path if we're willing to follow. There's an interesting passage, though, in the Bible that talks about how we are like sheep. And we've all gone astray. Each of us have turned to our own way. But we see that God is the shepherd who can lead us back. And we're going to come back to that part. But maybe you're feeling like that sheep today. Like you've kind of gone astray. Maybe you're stuck in doing it your own way. Maybe there's a better way to do that, to trust God as the shepherd. And so today, as we look at this name of God, the place that it appears is from King David. He wrote it in Psalms 23, which is probably one of the most well-known or famous parts of the Bible. So we're going to be looking at that today, and Neil and Adam are going to come, and we're going to do a little look at that passage. So as they come, check out this little paraphrase of Psalm 23. All right, I got a couple guys up here with me. We got Adam and we got Neil. Adam, if you don't know, he works with our Journey teens here at church on staff, but we kind of share him with Youth for Christ. He does campus life at Fruitport High School, and he's doing a great job up there. They were just up at summer camp. Yeah, good times there. And we got Neil, and Neil's been coming to our church since he was like this tall, and now he's like this tall. So we're glad to have Neil and Adam up here with us today. And so before we jump into Psalms 23, as always, I always want to encourage you to check out the YouVersion Bible app, and it's a great resource to have. And you can follow us as a church on there. We have different Bible reading plans or different resources. And I love the Bible app. Like you guys, I know you guys use the Bible app.
It's funny because it just asked me this morning, do you like the Bible app?
And did you say yes?
I hit no, because if you hit yes, you have to fill out a review.
Oh, okay.
And I'm too lazy.
But I know both of you guys use it quite a bit. I know, like Neil, you've been doing
I
quite a
used
few
it a
things.
lot to make these notes.
Yeah. So one of the cool things is if you use the Universal Bible app over this weekend, starting on Friday, they Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they did a 3-day through Psalms 23. So kind
Can we
of
just cue those videos up?
Yeah, we could just do that. So we want to go check that out today. So, and we also have a reading plan about the names of God. So again, I want to encourage you to check that out. You can follow along today. And so we just saw like a paraphrase of it, but let's look at the actual verses. Psalms 23 says this: "The Lord is my shepherd; I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." So, again, one of the most famous Psalms, 6 verses, but there's so much great content in there of this, how it displays God and what that means for us. And so I asked these guys to share with us. So what was maybe something that stood out to you? Like, as we look through that passage, I think whenever we read the Bible, it's good to ask 2 questions. Like, what does it say about God? What does it mean for me? So how did you guys see God displayed in that passage?
There's the assurance that God is always there for you, no matter if you're failing or you're succeeding. He'll always go find you if you're lost. He'll lead you along the right paths, and he always has the best in store for you.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, he's got it. No. Yeah, just the imagery that's painted. God as shepherd, the green pastures, like that lush green grass the sheep are eating, probably chewing on, the quiet waters. So, like, probably...
Chewing on the quiet waters? Is that what
on
you
the
said?
grass.
Okay.
But, like, even, like, so, like, but, like, the water imagery, I think of, like Neil was showing me pictures, like, when you were camping up north, and, like, I love the water up north, like, the lake up there. Like, it's just clear, it's beautiful, it looks refreshing, and so that's, like, the image in my head. And then, like, that stark contrast with the valley, just where God is going to lead you, what he's going to provide, he's going to sustain you, he's going to give you what you need. He's going to bring you through that low valley, that dry valley.
Yes, we have this picture of this God who is going to carry us through, who's going to guide us in the right direction. God who, like it talks about the first couple verses there, the Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. A God who wants our life to have satisfaction, purpose, like he's there for our needs to care for us, like a good shepherd would. Good, great stuff in there. So maybe another question is, like, what does this mean for me? Like, as you guys were reading through that, like, what does it mean as you are reading through these verses? What stood out to you for your life in that?
I think there's 2 main things that stood out. One, that even if you're going through a dark valley, a dark time, that God will lead you out and lead you to a lush green meadow and clear waters. And also, he always has the best in store for you. He's not going to lead you wrong. He's not going to lead you off a cliff. He's going to lead you on the right path.
Yeah. So it means that you need to follow that right path, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, also, you need to be able to listen to him.
Yeah.
Be able to hear what he says, not just be closed off to it.
Yeah. Do you have a time in your life that maybe you've had to do that, Neil?
Definitely. Over this last summer, I had a lot of struggles with which high school I was going to go to. And I ended up going to an online high school. In the beginning, I did not like it because it was very different from what I've done. It's very different from what everyone else is doing. But in the end, it was better for me. And God showed me that way, and he helped me with that. And yeah.
Good. Awesome. What about you, Adam? Anything that like stood out to you? Like, what does this mean to really follow after God?
I love the part where it's like he makes me lay down, because golly, do I love sleeping. I love rest. But like, no, like he's going, well, if we're the sheep, and like I'm pretty dumb like a sheep. And so I'm often, if you rely on your own ways, and I fall into it, or falling into just kind of like letting my sin kind of control me, or like in those weak moments, because like sheep, like they'll get stuck in the rocks, and then the shepherd has to pull them out. And like those rock moments where I feel stuck, sin, shame, anger, guilt, all those things, or just trying to rely on my own strength. When I'm in that low valley, thinking like I can muscle through it on my own, and then God has to yank me by the neck to get to the green grass, the cool, refreshing water, and rest, and to be able to rest in Him and trust in Him that He's going to provide. He's going to give me everything to sustain me, and that I don't have to live in that valley or be stuck in those moments and like despair. I don't have to lack hope.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that some last week too. Like even when we're in the valley, God never promises that we'll never have valleys. In fact, He says the opposite. We see the words of Jesus. He says, "In this world you will have troubles," and so like we're gonna be in the valley, but we don't have to go at it alone. And I know you said this in the first service. Like a shepherd has the crook.
Yes.
Did you want to say it again?
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess. But yeah, so a shepherd's staff has that hook, so that way, if you don't hear the shepherd calling, and the flock starts to move, and you're still got your head down, drinking water, eating some grass, it can yank you and pull you in, or if you start to wander off. But sheep would often get stuck in the rocks, or just stuck in tight places, and the shepherd could just scoop them up and pull them right out. So first, you got to be really strong to be a shepherd. But then that staff also helped fend off predators like wolves and lions, which you think you should be afraid of a lion, but you even showed me a video this week. All a guy did was yell at lions and they ran away.
Well,
so apparently they're big cowards.
Don't follow that.
Yeah, just shake a staff at them and yell, and they'll run away. Go on a safari.
When I think about that picture, I think that, like you said, like we can feel sometimes lost in life. We can feel like we're hitting those dead ends, or like the sheep stuck in the rocks, and that God's there to lift us up. And this is why, to me, one of the things that stand out, I want to follow God because He's a God who always wants to build you up. He has this best in mind for you, to pick you up when you're stuck, to give you direction. And one of the verses in there, I think is very interesting. I think it's sometimes overlooked in this passage. And it says this in verse 4. It says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows." And sometimes I think we just kind of maybe skip over that part, but I think that's a really significant part, because what we see is while we don't have enemies, David wrote this as a shepherd himself. Adam just shared that there's wolves and mountain lions or other things that are going to attack the sheep, and so he has he was thinking those type of enemies when it comes to sheep. But even in his personal life, he actually had people who were trying to murder him and kill him, and so he had legit enemies. We don't encounter that maybe type of enemies these days.
Unless you owe someone money.
Yeah, but that's not you. So yeah, so our enemies don't tend to be in the violent nature, but we do have people that maybe we encounter in our life that maybe have it out for us, or are maybe just so self-focused that they've caused hurt in our life or pain in our life, and they're just maybe tearing down our life. And we see Jesus, and we see in this passage, as a shepherd, we see Jehovah Roe as the good shepherd. He says, "Prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies," which is a place of lifting us up. And it talks about anointing your head with oil and your cup overflows. That just means all this blessing of God in our life. He's a God who wants to build our life up, to bless us, to care for us. And so why would I not want to follow a God like that, who's willing to not only walk through those hard times, but to let His love and goodness flow in our life and give us that eternal hope to dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So it's good stuff. So maybe one other question, if you think of God as this great shepherd, how have you experienced that, or what does that mean to you guys?
You should go first this time.
So for me, just being knowing the shepherd's voice, knowing God's voice. How do you do that? Well, we have the Bible. It's really cool. You can hear God's voice that way. Because I've had a lot of encounters and friends and stuff who have said well, I heard God say this, and I'm I've never had that experience, and I don't think that's bad. but it's like I have the Bible, so I get to hear God's voice. So I know what his voice is, and I can pay attention to that. And so when he's guiding, like I can test that, and then just in prayer, so just be like knowing the Good Shepherd, right? Knowing God, and then knowing that he's always going to provide, he's always going to sustain with that, again, that grass and that water metaphor. And even when it feels like the low moment and things are not great, it's like I know we're headed to that green pasture where I'm going to get to lie down and rest and be just in the care of the Good Shepherd. And a Good Shepherd is always going to be kind, always going to be tender, always going to be compassionate. And that's a great hope for me, just knowing that my soul can rest in that and find comfort there, even if, like I said, it's that dry valley, or if it feels like all the lions and the wolves on the outskirts are out to get me, whatever metaphor that may be for. But yeah, so it's just knowing the Good Shepherd.
I made you share in the first service about
yeah, shoot.
I think that this is like Adam's walked through this. Maybe a personal example of this is Adam was feeling God leading him as a good shepherd to do what he's doing now, and so he quit his job that he was doing before, and then he started working for us, and then he works for YFC, and he has to raise his salary, basically raise his support for that. So he decided to do all that like 2 weeks before COVID and when the world shut down. So having to trust God kind of through all that. So
yeah. So and I mean, I was even coming out of a place that felt like a valley, and then I was super like cloud nine, green pasture, and then COVID, and I was like, what is happening? God has a sense of humor. So having to fundraise, because technically classified as like a missionary, it seems strange because I'm here and not overseas, but. So a lot of my first phone calls were like, hey, do you want to support Fruitport Campus Life? And those people were like, I don't even know if I have a job. And I was like, same. And so it took a year to fully fundraise so we could launch Campus Life. And it felt like a valley at many moments. I mean, there were great victories in there and everything. But yeah, so it took about a year. And I remember, though, at the start of it all, my supervisor at YFC was like, well, do you still want to do this, or do you want to go do something else? And I just remember feeling like, no, God is calling me to this, and I need to be faithful to this, and I need to listen, and I need to go. And so stuck it out. And then it took another year even after that, because schools were still in that weird place to be able to be even in the school. So it was like 2 years.
And now just seeing a lot of momentum for that.
Yeah, finally. Oh, man, the pasture is green. It's awesome.
But now, I mean, through all that, it's really experiencing, like it talks about, like his rod and his staff comfort you and guide you and direct you through all that, even the valley. So I think that's a cool story. Neil, what about you? How have you maybe experienced God as a shepherd, or what does that mean for you?
It means that I can rely on God. I know what he's going to do. He's going to do the right thing for me, and also I can let him take control. I don't have to spend time worrying about the right decision. I just let God take control, and it'll end up fine.
Yeah.
I'll end up in a green pasture, not a dark valley.
I think it's so good. Like it talks about in the passage there, he guides me in the right paths for his name's sake. And I feel like a lot of people say like the Bible is maybe outdated, or like they don't agree, like certain parts. It's like, is that still true? And what I have seen is that as God directs us, that he always has our best in mind, and his ways prove true when we actually follow them and not try to compromise on them and do it our own way. So I think it's great. I know, like for me too, as I think about this, is I've had a lot of these moments where I feel like I've walked through the valley, and even as it talks about like the shadow of death in some different translations, like feeling like I've been in that valley of the shadow of death, whether that's cancer or losing my dad or just other things that I've experienced, and just knowing that God's comfort is there, and knowing like this, the promise at the end that I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever, that to be able to dwell through this life with God as my shepherd, to know that I have this eternal hope that no matter what life throws at us, and he's always going to be there, and we can dwell in the house of the Lord forever and really experience his goodness and love at its max. So like I know that's what it means for me. So let's just thank Neil and Adam for sharing with us today. It was good. Good job, guys. Thanks. I just want to share a couple thoughts as we kind of wrap this up, and And, what it comes down to is if God is our shepherd, Jehovah Roe, what that means is that he is going to lead us. And are we willing to let him lead us on the path so we can experience his goodness and his love in our life? If he is the shepherd, are we willing to be like a sheep and actually follow him? Jesus came to fulfill this kind of passage we see in the Old Testament. We see this in John chapter 10. Jesus said these words, "I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. Just as my Father knows me, and I know my Father, I lay my life down for my sheep." What we see Jesus is foreshadowing as he will be heading to the cross to pay the penalty for our sin. And what we see as a good shepherd is one who is willing to give up his life for his sheep because he always has the best in mind for his sheep. And we talked about that passage earlier. It says, "We like sheep have all gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own ways. But God has laid upon Jesus, him, the iniquities of us all." Like he is that good shepherd who took our place, who paid for our sins. So knowing that he is this good shepherd who has our best in mind, will we follow him is the question. We see this, John chapter 10 begins with this. He says this, it says, "Very truly," Jesus is speaking to the Pharisees. He says, "I tell you, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his sheep by name and leads them out. And when he is brought out on his own, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice." If God is this great shepherd, are we going to be like the sheep that go astray, turn to our own way, end up out there on our own, or will we listen? If he's this great shepherd, do we know his voice? Will we follow him? That's really the point. I know, like for me, as I've gotten older, you hope to get wiser as you get older. And maybe this is some wisdom, but I feel like the older I get and the more I actually know, the less I actually know. Like I feel like I don't have it all figured out, or things are just different. I used to feel like I knew it all, right? And now I feel like the only thing I know is that God is this good shepherd, and he's going to lead me in the right ways. Will I listen to him? Will I follow him? What does that mean to listen to him? Adam shared a little bit about that. It's like his word, the Bible. That's why we talk about the Bible app all the time, to make this a regular part of our life, because it's his words to guide us. That's the whole point. We read the Bible to know God so we can follow after him. Maybe even listening to him as he prays, as you go through life. We have his spirit within us. If we are a follower of Jesus, we have in this relationship with him. His spirit is in us to guide us. That might be a nudge of our thoughts or something that can appear like our conscience, but it can be his spirit guiding us. Like, are you going to listen to him? To know his voice, to pause as we go through life, not just to do it our own way, but to actually listen. Or even as you read his word, to pause and think about, what does this mean for me to follow after him? Because if you're willing to follow him as the shepherd, what that means is that he will lead you to this place where your life lacks nothing. He will lead you to this place like it's like streams that can refresh your soul. The good shepherd will lead you to this place where his love and goodness will follow after you. He will guide you through the valleys where he can still comfort you in the middle of the hardship. And you'll be able to dwell in the house of the Lord forever. But are you willing to follow, to listen? His sheep know his voice. The Lord is my shepherd. Let's make that personally for us. Let's be able to say that from our own hearts. Just like David said that in Psalms 23. He said, "The Lord is my shepherd." I hope you can experience the Lord as your shepherd, to guide and direct you, to comfort you, to push you towards the right paths, to experience his goodness and love. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes with me right now. As we kind of wrap this up, maybe just pause for this moment. And whatever is on your heart, maybe it's, God, I want to follow after you. God, I want you to guide and direct me. God, I want you to be this good shepherd in my life. Or maybe it's saying, God, thank you for how you've done that. Whatever's on your heart, just take a minute and respond. Lord God, we come to you, Jehovah, Yahweh, our great shepherd. We turn to you because otherwise we're just out here on our own, just ending up going astray, ending up in those dead-end spots, and up getting stuck in life. So we look to you because you are the good shepherd to guide and direct us. May we have a sense in our lives as we read your words, as we pause to turn to you. May you guide our life to these places of satisfaction, to these places of renewal, to these places of experiencing your goodness, to experience your comfort even in the valley. Thank you for caring so much about us, God, as this good shepherd, the one who's willing to give up his life for his sheep. We just thank you for being that great God for us. We pray this in your name.